Welcome to Implementation Ideas. This video shares strategies for implementing the Digital Public Library of America's primary source sets. Hello, my name is Jamie Lathan, and I'm a high school history teacher at the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics in Durham, North Carolina. I've taught a variety of history and social science courses at the secondary education level for the last 18 years. As a member of the Education Advisory Committee for the DPLA, I've created several primary source sets and used my sets and others to engage students in primary source document analysis in my classroom. In this section, I will discuss several ways that teachers can implement the DPLA primary source sets in their classrooms. Visual analysis is the first implementation strategy that I will explore. There are many techniques that can be used to help students and teachers analyze visual primary sources. For this analysis, I'll focus on the tools and skills of observation and contextualization. The image that I'm about to share with you is from a set that I created about African American soldiers in World War I. After viewing this photo, I might ask my students to make a list of everything they see or to list out evidence from the photograph that may help them think about historical context. Some of their responses may include observations that there are adults and children, that there are soldiers in the photograph. The students may also comment that the soldiers seem proud and happy. In addition, the students may notice the dog or the flowers. Then I might draw my students' attention to the caption under the photograph that reveals that the photograph is one of African-American soldiers with French children in France. The exact location is not known, but the photograph was taken between 1917 and 1918. Perhaps the soldiers had just liberated a French town from German occupation. Taking a closer view, we see an African-American soldier with a white French little girl in his lap. Drawing on this observation, I may ask my students to make comparisons between race relations in the United States and in Europe at the turn of the 20th century. If students are aware of the time period in the United States, they may notice the rarity of interracial interactions in those times. This photograph would have been nearly impossible in the United States, given the strict spoken and unspoken racial code of the Jim Crow era. From this example, we see that visual analysis offers an active way for students to know the importance of historical context through their observations. Another implementation strategy is to help students ask research questions about primary sources. For many of our humanities students in secondary and post-secondary institutions, being able to generate questions is just as important as researching the answers. The primary source sets allow you to facilitate the inquiry and questioning process for students. For example, students can view the document in this primary source set on the space race in the United States from 1945 to 1991. This television clip might generate research questions about the role of the media on the space race and the relevance of Frederick Jackson Turner's frontier thesis to the space race. This political cartoon might raise questions about the unintended social, political, and economic implications of the space race. Another idea is to use a primary source document to contextualize a current event. This source from my set on Negro League baseball is a letter from Jackie Robinson to President Eisenhower, criticizing him for not taking stronger actions for civil rights. You can have students compare this letter to the present day actions of Colin Kaepernick or LeBron James. Another strategy is to have students think about what's missing in a set. Each set has about 10 to 15 items, but there are always possibilities for additional perspectives or information to add. And in mind, another implementation idea is to ask students to thoroughly review a set and determine what items and/or ideas are missing. In this primary source set about the Columbian Exchange, there are sources ranging from a drawing of Christopher Columbus to an excerpt from a book on the history of smallpox. Students could determine what is missing from the set, search the DPLA for the missing item or idea, and add a brief description of the item and its relevance to the set. Another implementation idea is to have students create their own sets. Using the subject headings and time period categories from the primary source sets, students could explore a topic that is not yet captured in any of the existing primary source sets. This implementation strategy involves students searching the DPLA and creating their own primary source set of a specific number of documents related to a topic or idea in United States history and literature. There are plenty of rich history and literature topics in which we do not yet have sets, like Watergate, Tennessee Williams, Mexican-American War, Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, and Zitkala Sa. Following the model of advanced placement U.S. history and world history exams, you could use the primary sources to create a document-based essay question for your students. In this primary source set on the Homestead Strike of 1892, you could ask your students to use all of the documents to answer the following question about the significance of the strike on the labor movement of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Another implementation strategy is to take a primary source and frame a student debate around it. The students have to understand the document well enough to take a stand and have an opinion. This document, a poster of Lolita LeBron, Puerto Rican freedom fighter, is from the primary source set on Puerto Rican migration to the United States. Students could use this document to do further research on LeBron and to debate the pros and cons of Puerto Rican independence versus Puerto Rican statehood in the United States. Thank you for listening to some ways to implement the primary source sets into your classrooms. I hope that you will continue to explore the primary source sets and implement sets in your classrooms. Please stay in touch and send us your feedback and suggestions at education@dp.la or find us at DPLA on Twitter. I also encourage you to watch additional tutorial videos. Lastly, please spread the word, tell a friend, colleague, or student about DPLA. Thank you.